Hello and welcome to the Kaiju in the Details, a chronological examination of the Kaiju film. I'm Ian.
I'm Haru.
This time around, we are traveling back in time because we missed the Amazing Colossal Man, a really influential Kaiju film of the American style. It's from 1957, so we're going back a little bit from 1958, so it didn't miss a whole lot, but yeah, we have to put this in its proper context. Haru, what'd you think of this film?
I, th- mm, I think it was all right. Definitely not the best kaiju movie we've seen. Definitely not the worst.
It
Um,
starts good. Well,
yeah,
it doesn't really start good either. The opening is kind of lame. Um, it gets good in the middle, I'll say.
yeah. I mean, I kind of went into this getting ready to make fun of the movie, and don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of stuff to make fun of, but I think the movie can still be taken seriously, at least to an extent.
I gotta say, Glenn Langan, who plays our main character, Glenn Manning, very silly, uh, does a wonderful job.
He
I guess he's the
does.
main. The main character might be his wife, Kathy, or fiance. Sorry, uh,
Uh,
or sorry, Carol. I mean,
maybe.
Catherine Downs is the actress. Carol Forrest is the character. Um, she's more the main driving force of the film, whereas Glenn is the person things happen to and then becomes the antagonist of the film.
Yeah, the film revolves around Glenn,
Mm-hmm.
but he
He is
doesn't.
the amazing colossal man.
Yeah, but he doesn't really he doesn't have a lot of control over anything that happens to him.
Granted, nobody really does.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of control. There's not a lot of agency in this film. The only agency in the film comes from one of those three little agencies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This movie I think is really interesting in like how it treats um in the way that Glenn exists as a military man who is being treated but also mistreated by the
Yeah.
American government. It almost gives
Yeah.
Rambo vibes in a way. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but like broad strokes, it's kind of a Rambo movie.
I would have to take your word for that because other than seeing a few clips here and there, I've never actually seen Rambo.
Okay, well, for those who don't know a Rambo, basic plot construction is guy comes back from a war. In Rambo's case, it's the Vietnam War. In Glenn's case, it's the Korean War. Um, he's mistreated by the people he was fought to serve. In Glenn's case, it's being put on an atomic testing site for some reason. Um, and then he kind of goes crazy and strikes out at the people around him. In Rambo's cases, he's mistreated by the cops, and you know they do the fucking like the hippies spit on the veterans kind of it's kind of that kind of thing. But it's a little bit
Mm,
the first Rambo at the very least is a little bit more reined in as far as that goes, right?
okay.
It's more a governmental failure rather than a people failure, right? Or an
Mhm.
anti-war failure. In the first Rambo. Anything beyond that, you know, like we can thank the brave Mujahideen fighters, right? That's the Rambo 3 ends with. It's a thank you to
Okay.
the brave Mujahideen fighters. You know, the ones that would do 9/11 eventually. Because they were fighting the Soviets at the
Uh,
time, and that's good.
cool.
But like basic plot construction kind of matches up. It's just that this
Okay,
one has a
yeah.
giant man in it.
Mhm.
Instead of a big man, it has a giant man, right?
Yeah, and, he's Glenn is he's set up to be the antagonist of the film, but not in that he's, intentionally lashing out. It's just he's a victim of not just, like, the immediate trauma of being like, "Oh, I got blasted by a plutonium bomb, and now I'm growing until I die," but, like, the long-term trauma that he's been put through by fighting in the Korean War, which,
Yeah.
like, initially, he seems to be going into it kind of, excited or, like, looking forward to serving his country.
Building a safe future for his wife or fiance.
Yeah, and then he experiences horrible trauma, and we don't get to see a lot of it,
We
but
get to see a very silly subsection of it where a bunch of Korean soldiers come at him with like knives and swords or whatever.
yeah, honestly, like, that's that seems to be, like, a very, like,
It's unfortunate.
yeah, it's not the best way to depict the horrors of the Korean War.
Yeah, but there's worse ways to show it too. So at least there's that. They
Yeah.
didn't do racist accents. They barely even showed their faces. Honestly, I don't know. Did the first
Yeah.
guy come at them with a gun or a sword? I genuinely couldn't tell. And he just like
It
comes up at
was
them,
it was a gun, which made me wonder why he didn't shoot, but okay, sure.
and then they just shoot that guy. But then the other guy gets hit in the back with a knife that was thrown at him. And like
Yeah.
this is like a combat, like one of those really chunky like survival knives. Like throwing that
Mhm.
thing is a tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
To any efficacy, I should say. And then they just this is like the most gory part of the movie. They just blast that guy's face open.
Mhm.
It's like, and he
Yeah.
scream. You see him screaming. He's covering his face with his hand, but you see like the blood coming out, and it's like, what the fuck? Why is there such random gore in this movie?
Yeah, that really is, like, the only place we see any kind I
There's one other place.
there is a little bit of, like, gruesomeness with Glenn's body immediately after the bomb, but,
That's
like,
true. I was gonna say there's
that's
another
a
place where they, when Glenn kills the doctor by throwing a fucking hypodermic needle at him.
yeah, but, like,
You
even
don't
that
see any
wasn't
blood.
that gory. It
Yeah, no,
was
it's just
just
kind of
like
like, oh,
yeah.
you don't see anything though. Like if this was a modern film, there'd be blood all over the place.
Yeah.
If this was a Splatterfest film, that guy would have been paste. Oh, that would have been pretty fun. I I would
Mhm.
actually not mind a remake of this film where you kind of iron out some of the rough edges and add some more gore.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun actually, because there's a lot of good bones here. I love Glenn's like monologues. I think
Yeah.
they're all really good. Like just the writing and it makes me wonder if he like if they were written for him or if he was ad libbing at any point.
Yeah, like, seriously, Glenn is the most fleshed out and most interesting character in this entire movie because, like, it's kind of one of like, him dealing with the trauma that he's actively living through and the trauma that he's had to live with.
And
You see him, like, start to break down throughout the movie as he just kind of
mhm,
spirals into despair.
yeah, and his heart is going too, which is making it.
Yeah.
He's just like in constant pain. In addition to like growing beyond the point where he can actually interact with other people
Mhm.
in any meaningful way. Uh,
Yeah.
Eventually, though, he kind of just turns into a mindless monster, which is like weird. It feels weird, but maybe it
Yeah,
has to
I
do with his
mean,
brain
they
growing
like,
cancer brain.
they kind of, like, explain that away with, like, "Oh, first his mind is gonna go and then his heart," but, like, I
Yeah,
don't know, he feels less like a character in the last
yeah. I think it would have been more
few
interesting if they had let
yeah.
him keep his mind.
Yeah, cause like, he's just like, he sees the little tiny people around him, and he doesn't really seem to, like
Acknowledge the fact that they're people at all. or
Yeah.
or recognize the fact that anything is happening. He's just like destroying things at random for no reason. At that point,
And like he does specifically like become an active threat when they try to shoot him.
yeah.
It wasn't until then that he's a liability, but like I don't think he was gonna. Well, I don't know. He might have accidentally killed someone if left unchecked, but it is not a good situation for this guy.
As usual, the cops shoot first and ask questions later. It is very funny that it's the cops that shoot them, despite the army telling them not to.
Yeah, it's
A cab
it
moment.
really did just go down like, "We have orders not to shoot," and he's like, "Fuck orders, I'm gonna shoot."
It's so good because the line is, "Are you gonna stand by and let him destroy property?"
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, dog. That's a human being. I'm not gonna shoot a human being for
Yeah.
destroying property. What are you talking about?
But that's the thing too, because like, after like, that is kind of one of the things that Glenn deals with throughout the movie, and they kind of hint at throughout, like, as he's having to deal with his condition. The more he grows, the less and less some people see him as human. And at first, it starts off as just something that, like, it sounds like it's just something that Glenn is dealing with all in his head. Like, "Oh gosh, everyone thinks I'm a freak and I'm living in a circus." But then once he's actually, like, out and about and, like, people know about him, it's like, yeah, they don't really see him as human unless, like, apart from the people driving the people in the helicopter. They're the only ones that see him as human in, like, the last few moments of the film, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely this like monster versus human angle,
Mhm.
and where is that line? And I think the film is kind of weird on that, right? Where it's like, in the end, it goes, yeah, he's a monster,
Yeah.
because he grew big enough to the point where he was no longer a human. Because like
Yeah.
you could talk all about how like, oh yeah, this is a growing thing. It made his brain do that. Yeah, 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 yeah. That is a decision that the writers made. It's not based on any science at all, because the science that they state does not make any goddamn sense.
Mhm.
They're like, metaphorically speaking, the heart is like a singular cell in comparison to the rest of the body. That's no. Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense even in a metaphorical sense, that the heart is a singular cell. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, a lot of this quote unquote, like, fake science stuff that they make up to justify the direction the plot goes with this movie. It it's more they just made up what they needed for the plot and didn't actually, like, think about any of it, because a lot of it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, he says the heart is made of a single cell for all practical purposes. What does that mean?
It's like, no?
Like, I don't care what metaphorical level you are on. That is simply not true. There's nothing distinct about the heart from the rest of the body. So,
They
this is all for the purposes of the plot. So, why did they choose to write it that way? I'm curious about
yeah.
this.
Like, I
Like,
mean,
what?
there's all sorts of like, they could very easily come up with, like, well, he's getting bigger, and so even though his heart's getting bigger with him, it just can't keep up with pumping that
Or
much blood through his,
it's the,
like,
what is it? The inverse square thing rule,
yeah.
where you can't have a being that is that big without it basically collapsing in on itself. There you go. You don't
Like,
need.
we already have science for this. Like, you don't
Yeah,
have to make up science for
you don't
this.
have to make up something that takes away his mind, which I think is the most interesting part about him as a distinct creature from any other creature movie.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he's getting more and more paranoid because of his PTSD and The way the government keeps treating him,
Mhm.
I think, is a much more interesting film that we just don't get to see.
Yeah.
uh,
Like, I think the most interesting scenes with him when he was still, like, a character with some degree of agency to what he was thinking and feeling were the scene where the sergeant, like, brought him his meal with the newspaper, and Glenn kind of has his whole meltdown in front of the sergeant, like, that was a really interesting scene.
yeah, they do a really fun scene there where it like Glenn like just fucking loses it,
Mhm.
which is a perfect setup for him to lose it later in the film and become the monster, like through his own brain, right?
Mhm.
But no, they're just like, and then his brain turns off and he becomes an animal. It's
Mhm.
like, ah, damn, you almost had something here, movie. You almost had something really interesting here about the ways that the U.S. government turned people into monsters and then set them loose on American society. And then you just kind of were like, what if he just turns into like Godzilla? Well, it's not even interesting. It's interesting because Godzilla. Oh, what if he turns into fucking the giant claw at the end
Yeah.
of the movie? What if he turns into it? Uh, and I'm like, what if he didn't though? What if he was still Glenn and they had to struggle with the fact that he was still Glenn, but he also wasn't Glenn anymore? Like,
Mhm.
Glenn, but not as you know him, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of now he's a big elephant going through the city. He's the Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex rampaging through the city. Yippee.
And,
Better
like,
shoot him.
if they kept like, if they didn't have the whole thing where he just loses his mind and becomes just, like, a monster, um, like, if he still kept that degree of what still made him human by the end of the movie, it would've made a much more complex moral decision that the army was having to make about, like, shooting him
Yeah.
and executing him.
In instead of the very strange decision of just like, okay, we injected him with the cure. Now kill him.
Yeah.
We injected him with the cure, and then he killed a guy, so now we have to just destroy him. There's no other option. He put down the woman. Shoot. Fire now. We told him to put down the woman, and he did, so now shoot him. Kill him. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess for that, that's just more instance of the army just completely discarding this man that's no longer useful to them.
Yeah,
So, like, thematically, that part does kind of work. It's silly,
and
but it does
yeah,
work.
I mean, like, no, I get it, but it's still, like,
It's boring
it
because he's
doesn't
not
have
a person
a
anymore.
it doesn't have as much weight to it.
Yeah.
Like, instead of them just, like, throwing away this person who was formerly like, one of them, it's just like, "Oh, he's a giant monster that's hurting people."
Imagine if he had got to have a last word, right? Or maybe a
Yeah.
monologue even. That
Oh,
would have
that
gone
would've been
hard.
so good.
That would have gone hard if he had gotten to have one more monologue like on the dam before they shot him down, as he was like
Yeah.
talking to Carol. He's got the cure in him, but they've decided that because he killed the one doctor, they have to kill him.
Mhm.
Oh, that would have actually gone really hard. Fuck. We just made a better movie, like in our heads, than the one that exists. See what I mean?
Like
I want this to be
like
remade.
like s okay, here's what I'm envisioning for, like, how that would go is maybe it would be, like, he's standing there on the dam holding what was her name? Carol?
Carol.
Um, yeah, he's standing there, like, by the dam holding Carol, and the doctor's, like, trying to talk him down with his megaphone, and Glenn has his monologue right then and there of, like, why he's like, how the like, how everything has forsaken him, and he's like, how did he end up here? His entire life has fallen apart because of all the things that have happened to him, and then
Yeah, you can re-emphasize that line he said earlier, the what sin could a man complete in a single life to bring this upon himself?
yeah, and then the doctor lets it slip that it's okay, we'll forgive you that you killed the other guy, and then the army's like, "Wait, shit, he killed a guy?" And then they shoot him. Like,
Or the army already know, and they're just ready to blast as soon as he puts down the woman. Like,
yeah,
either way,
like,
like,
something along those lines where, like, we could at least have a final word with Glenn, like, get at least
wring
a
some more
little bit
pathos
of
out of him.
closure with his character, I guess,
Yeah,
instead of he just
drifts off into nothingness.
yeah.
I do really love that line. What sin could a man complete in a single life to bring this upon himself? Just a really good line.
Mhm.
A really good line a different way is, you know what they wrote about me in my college yearbook? Man most likely to reach the top.
Yeah.
There's some good little humor bits in here. There's some bad little humor bits in here. Like, they have the funny drunk thing.
Mhm.
They see Glenn roaming around. And they're like, oh, I'm never gonna drink again. Cool, fun, hee hee, tee hee.
You wanna know, one of my favorite humor scenes was,
Mm-hmm.
it's when the food truck delivery comes by, and he's like, "Oh, come on, tell me, what is it you guys have?" And then the army guy just tells him the truth, "Yeah, we have a giant." And then he's like, "Okay,
And that's where
you
the
don't have
conspiracy
okay."
theories. That's where the conspiracy theories about them having a giant, finding a giant in the Iraq War came from. That's where they came from.
Mhm.
The Nephilim are real, folks.
Uh It's it's a good movie with some flaws in its writing, and it could have gone so much harder than it did.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Um, we talked about the themes first because those are the ones I think we were most champing at the bit to get to.
Mhm.
We're just so giddy about it. We just went right into it. Let's talk about effects. So I think the effects here are generally good, but there's some rough patches.
The so they had a lot of fun playing with perspective.
Yes, camera angles are
Li
going crazy in this one.
like, they did an excellent job of, like, making it actually seem like, he with his, like, being, like, what, 50 feet tall at whatever point, and
Yeah,
Carol being human-sized, just, like, and them just being right next to each other in, like, the same scene. It's like, I can kind of see it, but you also, like
at almost all times you believe that that man is that big in the film.
yeah, and in the scenes where he's, like, laying down in his bed in, like, the hospital, or when he's in the tent, and they have, like, the little prop furniture that's basically,
Yes,
like, from a dollhouse, and it's like
like from a large doll. I would say
yeah,
one of those Raggedy Ann sized dolls where they're like a good couple like a foot or so tall.
yeah,
It's really really impressive the way they use that to like a really good effect for those scenes.
and, like, when he's in the hospital room and he sits up for the first time and his head almost touches the ceiling, it's
Yes.
like they did some good perspective stuff
And they
in
bring him
here.
like the fucking ostrich, and then he grabs it, and it's like a fucking chicken, like
Yeah.
like bring him like a roast ostrich or whatever, like a huge bird. And then
Mhm.
he grabs it, and it's a chicken now. It's a roast chicken now. Like, there's
Yeah.
some really good effects here. And then there's the rampage scene where we have some unfortunate effect screening effects where Glenn gets a little bit too transparent.
Yeah.
There's like some of them work fine, and so like some of them ended up not being transparent, and some of them ended up being a little too transparent. It's interesting how some of them worked and some of them didn't quite work.
Yeah, there were some bits during that whole part of the movie where I was just like, "Is it just foggy in Las Vegas or what? What's going
It's
on
never
here?"
foggy in Las Vegas. That would require moisture. uh, no, I think some of the difference might be that some of those may have been. It may be the difference between like screening effects, like where they're screening in Glenn as opposed to screening, like doing a rear projection of Glenn against the peep and the miniatures that they've assembled and the people.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that is the difference maker, is like we have like Glenn in miniatures versus Glenn being screened onto an image of an actual building.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's where we're having this disconnect. I wish I could get more information on this kind of thing, but I'm just having to use educated guesswork here. Maybe if I like read a full book on the creation, but like who actually does, like this is a B movie as B movie. I have a book that's
Mhm.
about this era of film, but I don't know if it go. I haven't finished reading it, so I don't know if it goes that deep into um the Colossal Man's creation specifically, and that kind of effects work to like really get me the knowledge I need to be able to determine whether it's like, because I have two theories here, and one is that some of the transparencies were working better than others just because of differences in the film, like just like random differences that they had trouble controlling for, uh, or differences in the way they did the effect, just like accidentally, like they maybe put it in the chemical too long or whatever. Um, versus like I said, the rear projection versus screening effect. Those are my two like theories. It's like either there's differences in the way those effects are, that same screening effect is happening, or it's a rear projection versus screening effect thing. Um, but like I think it would be really cool if we could get more academic deep dives into the B movie.
Mhm.
Like the books that I have aren't written by academics. Like not for the most part. I've got a couple that are, but most of those are focused on Godzilla specifically because Godzilla is frankly, a more highly regarded film series, just like artistically. But I am of the opinion that, I mean, bad movies are still art, and
Mhm.
as art, they can still teach you things. And I think bad movies are really good at teaching you the craft of filmmaking because they
Yeah.
expose all the seams. You know, it's like cutting. It's like a poorly made dress. You'll see the seams, and you'll
Mhm.
know how to make a dress. You know the basics, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then you know what not to do as well, right? And I would love to see more work done on this kind of thing. And you know, I haven't looked at papers. I mean, there might be more papers on this that would be helpful. But as far as books go, I'm pretty sure I own a decent chunk of the books that are on this kind of subject. I own more than most people do, certainly.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I haven't seen, again, I need to finish reading that Atomic Creatures or whatever it's called, um to get more, like, see if I can get more information on some of these effects. But I think most of them aren't talking about the effects, they're talking about the artistic side of it, and like that's cool too. I just want to know the details of how they make these effects because it's so interesting.
Mhm.
um hey, let's talk about the director.
Um, actually, while we're on the topic of effects, I also
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead.
address the worst effect in the film when Glenn was picking up Carol.
Oh. But strangely enough, the scene right before that was a really cool effect when he throws the needle at the guy and it impales him.
Yeah.
Like it's a screening effect, rear projection most likely, but it just like, it really looks like it goes right through him, and then he fucking topples over because of it.
Mm-hmm.
They cut away before it would get to any point where it wouldn't look like that. But that's what good editing is for, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes right to Carol being picked up.
Yeah, her like the the effect is so bad that the movie doesn't want to show you any of it.
Does not linger on it, no.
There's like a brief moment where Carol is like yelling at Glenn to like snap out of it or whatever, and she's being quote unquote held by him, but there's like this weird shitty layering going on where it doesn't like if you look at it even a little bit, like the illusion is broken.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate. But yeah, let's talk about the director, because we've got Burt I. Gordon back in the director's seat. Last time we saw him, I
Hmm.
believe, was King Dinosaur. Maybe there's something in between there. I've forgotten about at this point. We've covered. This is our 31st episode, so we've covered 30 movies at this point. So yeah, forgive me. There's going to be a couple of things slipping the mind there. But yes, King Dinosaur's was his, I believe, his first film, and here we are at the Amazing Colossal Man. A couple years later, that was 1955. We're in 1957 now. The Amazing Colossal Man, and I think this is a significant improvement from King Dinosaur, honestly.
He has come a long way.
Like, this is so much better.
King Dinosaur didn't even really have any plot.
It
This
was
one
so boring.
actually has stuff going on, and like there's actually good writing in it.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, director's not in charge of writing,
Hmm.
but director's in charge of making sure the line deliveries happen correctly, and
Yeah.
those certainly, for the most part. Carol, I think, is the weakest actress or weakest actor on this. I was weakest actress. She's the only actress,
Yeah.
but she's literally the only woman in the entire film. But she is also the weakest actor, I think.
Hmm.
I find her grating, which I like women instead of hating them, so that shouldn't be the case that I find her grating.
I also think she's just probably one of the weakest characters,
Yeah, I mean, her
honestly,
character is
because
going, Glenn.
yeah, she has no interests. Her only interest is Glenn.
Although the fact that she like uncovers, very silly that the government's like, okay, we're gonna just like steal this guy and not tell his fiance, and just like pretend he doesn't exist anymore. That'll go over well, I'm sure.
And also just what baffled me is how like okay, they're trying to keep this like a tightly kept secret, but it was so easy for Carol to just like find out where he is
Yeah,
and
they left the
then
transfer papers for the doctors right there.
and then just slip in because the sergeant that meets her inside the building just leaves
Well, and
after he
also
tells her to
she goes up to the gate and she's like, I want to see Glenn, and they're like, there's no Glenn here, there's no patients here even, and she's like, well, I want to see Glenn, and then they're like, I just gotta, I'm calling the chief, and the chief says it's okay actually. Like, why?
yeah,
If this is supposed to be top secret, then like, why would you do that?
they just came so easily.
But like, that's the one part of the film where Carol is an interesting character in the slightest.
Hmm.
And then from then on out, she has nothing. She's just there. And she's like,
Yeah,
Glenn, don't be
she's
upset about being a giant man. They're gonna cure you.
yeah.
Glenn, Glenn, Haru. It's it's grating. Like, there's no other word for it. It is grating.
Hmm.
It's very irritating. Um, but like, yeah, other than that, I think the direction of the film, I mean, like, all the camera work is pretty utilitarian, except for the perspective shots. The perspective shots all work really well, and that's going to be down to direction as well. Obviously, the cinematographer is going to be in charge of that, but like making sure everything matches up for the editing and keeping everything on track for that. I mean, that's some skilled direction work.
The effects have come a long way since holding up lizards behind rocks.
It's very true. And honestly, even back then, he was pretty decent with a rear projection. Those rear projection effects were not bad, and so they've only like improved here. For a B movie like this, the kind of rear projection is pretty nice. It's not like King Kong level rear projection, but it's pretty dang good. It is funny though. This is yet another giant person. We haven't actually encountered a lot of these yet. We're going to encounter Burt I. Gordon quite frequently over the course of this podcast, particularly in the next couple of decades of our timeline. And Burt I. Gordon just keeps returning to the same well of giant people, ants, men, just like all sorts of rats. I believe is food of the gods. Food of the gods, I think, is rats. Yeah, that's it. And it's all, well, not all of it. So, Amazing Colossal Man is actually inspired by a 1928 short science fiction novel, The Nth Man. Uncredited, of course. Wikipedia calls it an uncredited adaptation, which is like, I think calling it inspired is a kind word. It is probably copyright infringement, but like, who cares? It's a 1928 novel. Back then it would have mattered, but Burt I. Gordon has this fascination with a H.G. Wells novel called Food of the Gods. He literally adapts that one into a film, Food of the Gods. But like a lot of these giant thing occurs movies are based partially on Food of the Gods. And I think this one is as well, even though Wikipedia doesn't actually mention it, because did you notice the name of the newscaster?
H. Wells. I was noticing that.
Wells, yes.
I was like, that's gotta be like, that can't just be a coincidence, right? That's gotta be like a reference.
Did your ears perk up when I said H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this is not just an adaptation of Nth Man. It is also, at least if you look into the production history of this film, Burt I. Gordon wasn't originally the director of the film. Apparently, American International Pictures, which is the company that produced the film, had the rights to the novel, and were going to adapt it to cash in on the success of The Incredible Shrinking Man, which we're not covering because that's the opposite of a kaiju film. The guy gets small, and then everything else around him becomes the kaiju. That's just not right. And Roger Corman was supposed to be the director of that. Now, that would have been a very different film because Roger Corman typically does more comedic stuff. But funnily enough, Charles B. Griffith was hired to adapt the novel and turn it into a comedy. So that Corman, it would have been a very different thing with Corman in charge. But then Corman dropped out and Gordon was hired instead. And then Gordon began to work on the script with Griffith before Griffith quit and his regular writing partner, Mark Hanna, had to step in. But that means that Gordon had his hands on the script. And I'm sure a little bit of that Food of the Gods energy was worked into there. Apparently they originally have a different guy for the lead, but I'm really glad they went with Glenn, the actor, not the character, for Glenn, the character.
Yeah.
Because he fucking knocks out of the goddamn park. AIP special effects technician Paul Blaisdell designed and built all the tiny size props for used in the film. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So those are actually built for the film. They weren't like large sized doll accoutrement. They were actually like made for the movie. That's
Mhm.
crazy. Because that chair in particular, like the phone, the phone's pretty good too. Like the
I liked the tiny book.
tiny phone, the tiny book, yes, and the tiny chair are all like, I feel like really well made.
Yeah.
Like it feels like an actual chair. Like it's not just like a basic ass chair. It is like the legs have curvature to them. There's some
Mhm.
artistry to it. It's upholstered. The phone is like one of those old timey phones, and it's made of metal. So like you have to like actually make that. You don't necessarily have to fill it with anything. So you can just have it be like it makes it a little easier to make it because you don't have to fill it with anything. You just make the shell essentially.
Mhm.
And in the tiny book, you actually have to make a tiny book, or maybe you could just honestly, you could probably just find a tiny book. It might be one of those tiny Bibles, you know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one of those? I My college campus, there used to be people who would hand up little tiny Bibles. It's like, okay, sure, man. Of course, there was also a Mormon temple around that the Mormons would occasionally wander out, and you could interact with the Mormons if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to. They mostly just kind of waste your time. They will not give up. They do not give up easy.
Imagine interacting with
I
Mormons.
even told them I was going to go shop for Christmas presents, and that didn't stop them. It's like, I'm trying to go do a Christian thing. Don't you? Don't you want me to do that? So this film does make use of a little bit of stock footage, particularly from nuclear test footage, but not a ton. We've seen American films with much more stock footage than this.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that, just the classic nuclear test footage you've seen over and over again of the house being blown apart.
Mhm.
Like if you've ever seen nuclear test footage, it's that. You just it's right there in the movie. Oh, there was a one scene where Glenn was picking up the crown, like the giant crown. I thought he was gonna put it on,
Yeah, I was thinking that
and I was
too.
like, "That's a little big. It's gonna look kind of silly on him." And then he puts it down. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
Like,
So he just picked it up for no reason then.
yeah, I mean, again, this guy, his mind's gone at this point. So I don't know what he thought he was doing, or if he even thought he was doing anything. It's just,
Yeah. Let's return to themes really quick because we talked a lot about the primary theme, but we also should talk a little bit about the ever-present theme of the kaiju film, radiation.
hmm.
This is a nuclear testing gone wrong feature. Doesn't really. I don't know if it. I'm trying to think of it actually as like trying to. I guess to definitely to an extent, it is much more critical of nuclear testing than a lot of American atomic monster films are.
Yeah, although I wouldn't say they go quite as far as any of the stuff we see over in Japan.
Yeah, because
Like,
they're
they
often like,
don't,
who caused this, and it's like
yeah.
the bomb your government dropped on him.
Like, yeah, we they like, we see what happens to him that starts the whole process, but then there's basically no mention of, like, not even radiation after that. Like, they mention that his cells are multiplying, but, like, they don't, like, say, like, unless they, like, briefly mention it and I just didn't notice, I don't think they even mention that the radiation is what caused his cells to start multiplying.
So the radiation is what causes it because it's essentially they're using like the same mechanisms of cancer.
Yeah, but, like, they don't say it is what I'm saying, like,
No, they do though. They when they
do
explain,
they?
yeah, when they're explaining it with the that's where the stock footage of the nuclear bomb comes in. They're like, this is what the nuclear bomb does, but then to this guy, it made him grow instead.
Okay. Maybe I missed it because it felt very, like,
They don't dwell on it, certainly.
yeah,
They dwell on it about as much as the Hulk does. Uh,
uh-huh.
like it. it literally is just like man gets caught in nuclear blast. It causes problems. Are we going to stop doing nuclear? No.
Yeah.
Are we going to criticize? Are we going to like end the movie staring at the camera going, "We should stop doing nuclear tests"? No. In fact, the ending is extremely abrupt. Glenn falls off
Yeah.
the dam. The end.
Yeah, we don't basically like other than addressing what's causing this and like what caused this in the first place to make Glenn turn into a giant. No one addresses maybe we shouldn't be playing around with nuclear radiation.
Yeah. And like I guess you can argue that like with the way the film portrays what happens to Glenn, it doesn't really need to come out and say that. But I think sometimes subtlety can be a detraction from a film.
Yeah, because it's also possible that the way to read the whole situation is just, well, none of this would have happened if he hadn't run out during the nuclear testing.
Yeah. Don't save anyone ever.
Yeah,
Also, the
like,
very ominous line of we never found the pilot he was trying to save. They just like
yeah,
it was just a plot point to get him in the blast zone, and then he just disappears from the movie, and they're like, "Well, we never found him." What? Huh?
like, I mean, you mentioned there was a sequel, right?
Yes, there is a sequel.
So maybe he'll show up in the sequel, or
Nope.
it. Okay, cool. So he literally was just a plot device.
Correct. Yeah.
No, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. No.
Love
No. He
that.
does not. That's not what the sequel is about. The sequel is Glenn again. We're gonna see Glenn again.
Okay.
Aren't you excited?
Yeah, I mean, if Glenn's as good as he was in this movie,
Mm.
I guess we'll find out next
Well,
episode.
I'll let you know that you remember he lost his mind by the end of the film and wasn't able to like speak anymore, basically. So
Yeah.
don't expect that to change. uh, yeah, next time we'll be covering the sequel to this film, which came out in 1958. So we're jumping back to 1958, but halfway through 1958 is about June. It's War of the Colossal Beast, which is a very dramatic title for a film that is not particularly dramatic. But we'll see that next time for sure. And like I said, Glenn will be back.
Mhm.
He will be back, and he stopped growing because remember we gave him the cure, but also remember the cure was supposed to make him shrink again. So I don't know
Well, it doesn't make him shrink until you, like,
until the
stimulate his
pituitary gland.
pituitary gland.
Yeah. So maybe something's wrong with his pituitary gland. Who knows? I guess we'll have to find
Yeah,
out.
good question.
Maybe they won't explain it at all. Maybe. Also, how did he survive? We'll have to find out next time. Or just watch the movie.
Yeah.
It's funny that the Wikipedia page says the tiny size props appear again in the sequel via flashback footage. It's like, okay, man, sure, I guess
So
they don't appear in the sequel. Then is what you're saying?
yeah.
They do by way of stock footage, but sure, I guess that counts as appearing again. Whatever, I guess. It's weird that they made that. Okay, we gotta talk. I want to talk about the camel and elephant. I guess this is going back to effects a bit.
Yeah.
They're testing some of this stuff that they're working on to cure Glenn on guinea pigs, but also bigger animals that can handle the stress of this kind of stuff better, like elephants and camels. Now you
Mhm.
might be saying to yourself, "Wait, aren't camels and elephants already pretty big?" Yes, yes they are. So they have like the scene where they're showing them big. They just have the two actors walk around normal sized elephants and camels, and then when they show them back at normal size, they like are shrunken down and in tiny little cages, like the size of a
Yeah.
dog. And it's just like, what? Are they supposed to be babies? What's going on here? Camels aren't that small. Neither are elephants, even if they're young. What are we? I guess like a really young elephant could be that small. Maybe that's the idea. It was very strange.
Yeah.
That was one part where
So
I was kind of like, what are we doing here?
like, hang on. Are we basically like, if the stuff did end up working on Glenn, would he have ended up being like a tiny human?
Maybe. Would his pituitary gland have just worked so far it made him tiny, tiny instead of big? Would he have become the amazing shrinking man?
Yeah, 'cause I didn't actually think of that, but like they're testing these on animals that are their regular size and they're trying to make them shrink.
Yeah, I think the
And
implication is that's supposed to be their large size, and then they're shrinking down to their normal size, which is not their normal size. I think. I don't.
maybe, but like how are they trying to sell to us that that elephant the size of a dog is normal sized when it's dog
I
size?
don't know. I don't know. And the camel too. That's a fully grown camel. It's got the two humps. It's big. It's huge. And now it's like it's the size of like a fucking Pyrenees.
Yeah.
Would I love a camel the size of a Pyrenees? Yes, of course. They don't exist. Did you know that camels scare horses?
I did not.
The horses find the smell of camels to be uncomfortable. It makes them makes them nervous.
You know what? I mean,
What's that fucked up horse doing over there? Why does it
yeah.
smell bad? Oh god. Anything else about this film, Haru?
Um, I just wanted to address I paid a little bit closer attention to the music in this one because
Mm.
you did mention during the last movie we watched that it uses some music from this film.
Oh yeah. I think it's
And
actively worse in this film than it was in the other one.
I mean, I think the music was fine. I don't
Yeah, it was,
think
like,
it
it was like
was like,
fine. I thought last time it was pretty interesting though,
yeah.
or pretty decent. I should say.
I will mention during the title credits, I heard some nice French horns in that opening.
Also, if we're talking about music, there's a huge musical sting when they reveal that Glenn has perfectly normal skin,
Mhm.
and it's like in context it makes sense because the man was burned alive by a nuclear blast. But out of
Yeah.
context, it's very funny, just revealing like a perfectly normal person and being like, "Ba ba bam."
Yeah.
It reminds me of
Yeah,
that
it's
one Twilight Zone episode where everyone looks weird, except for the one person who looks normal, and everyone's like, "This person looks weird,"
mhm.
because they look normal to us. It's about how beauty standards are relative.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, yeah, that kinda got to me too, where it's like playing big reveal music, and it's like, okay, yeah, in context, I get why this is a big reveal, but it's also a little bit uncanny to make it a big reveal that he's just a normal human.
Yeah. Oh, another interesting thing. They shaved Glenn's head. Why? Haru, do you know why?
Um,
because he has cancer. No, giant cancer.
Oh, it's all that radiation he got blasted with.
Honestly, the surgery too. I think that they might have just like he doesn't grow hair anymore. But also,
Yeah.
it really helps with the fucking screening effects.
Yeah.
Hair really messes with screening effects. If you've ever used a green screen before in an amateurish sense, you'll know this. Hair really fucking messes with screening effects.
Hmm.
So that it cuts two ways.
All right. So that kind of makes sense actually.
Yeah,
Like
it's
there's a functional reason why he's bald.
a functional film reason, and obviously it's just like he got his hair burned off, and they it's just like he's very clean shaven the entire film though, and it's been like a while.
Hmm.
That shit grows back faster than that. You think someone's coming in there with a giant razor and shaving him while he sleeps? All right, I think that's everything for me.
Mm, I guess like the one little tidbit I have that I was kind of just wondering how, like, when they find out that getting full force blasted by a plutonium bomb makes him just rapidly heal and then start growing. What's their takeaway on using plutonium bombs? I mean, we already talked about how it's basically like no one's being like, "Oh, we should stop doing this." But like now that they know the effects that using a plutonium bomb is going to have on a human, where do they go with that? Are they just like, "Cool, I guess we'll just start turning people into giants to kill them?" Or are they like, "Eh, that's not super effective. Let's just go back to the like H bomb or whatever." Like,
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know. It doesn't matter because it has nothing to do with the plot. It's just like a question that I came up in my mind as I was watching it.
It has weird implications for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's I think all I had on it.
Well, thank you so much for watching, listening to this podcast on your YouTube or podcatcher, which are the two places you can find a podcast like this. You can even find it in places like iTunes, where you can leave a 5-star review and help get us in the eyes of people who like kaiju podcasts, particularly conversational ones. Don't try and show this to someone who thinks this is a well-researched, edited uh, research project thing. This is conversational, and we like it that way. Uh, share it with all your friends that like that kind of thing. There's a lot of them out there. People love to talk about movies, or just talk about movies with you like we're friends, and you watch the movie. So it's like we watched it with you, and we're now just like discussing it on the ride back home after sitting in the theater for an hour and a half, and we're cruising in your 1999 Buick, and we're just heading on back. Maybe we'll stop by a McDonald's, by the way. But you know, it's maybe we had enough fast food. We could go to like a nice restaurant instead, and just like really chill out, and then like come back to your place and just have like a couple of beers and just really have a nice night.
Where are you going with this?
I don't know. Watch our podcast and show other people it. Watch it. Anyway, and if you do a review, we'll read it out on the show. If you do a nice review, we'll read it on the show. And it does take a while for iTunes to actually like show that kind of thing to us. It takes a while for it to like process it and stuff. So if it takes a while, like I'm sorry. Also, if you do it on a podcatcher that's not iTunes, I don't get it, so I can't read it out. Sorry, but I still appreciate it regardless. Um, Haru, where can people find you?
I am Haru Hayes, a puppy girl VTuber. I stream on Twitch occasionally, usually about once a week. Um, and I am on Blue Sky, haru.vspire.live. I'm trying to be a little bit more active there. And I also somewhat regularly upload content to YouTube, mostly just old stream archives. And you can find me all those places.
And I'm Vampire Ian, vampire VTuber and card game extraordinaire. You can find me at vampireian.neocities.org, my website where you can find every link to go to every place like Twitch, YouTube, and of course Blue Sky. Haru, are you ready to say goodbye to Glenn, the Amazing Colossal Man?
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the fact that he uses the title of the film as like a way to disparage himself when he's like doing his little maniacal routine with that one sergeant. That was really fun,
Yeah.
actually. I thought that was a really cool way to use a title drop in the film.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the circus tent, like, I'm a circus, I'm a clown. Come watch me, the Amazing Colossal Man.
Yeah.
It's like a freak, like he's like a freak show, quote unquote, uh, guy. It was an interesting way to use it. All right, sayonara, Glenn,
Sayonara, Glenn.
and we'll see you next time with part of your skull showing. That's real, by the way. His skull's going to be showing.